The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Today is Wednesday, July 29, 2020. Thanks so much for joining me. There was no episode yesterday. We had a bit of a small emergency here in the Dixon household, a gas leak, which forced us to evacuate the house and break quarantine and let somebody in our home to fix the gas leak. Thankfully, it was a minor leak and it was fixed pretty quickly. So thank you for being patient with us not having an episode yesterday. Now, you do know that when that person left the house, they had a mask half on. It wasn't tied up all the way. So you do know when that person left the house, I went through and I put on my military grade gas mask that I got for the protest. It just didn't come in until it took forever to come in. And I put that mask on and I went through and alcohol down the entire house. So anyway, that's what was going on yesterday. I don't know where to begin because yesterday was such an eventful day in the news. I'm not sure if I want to begin with the doctors, and I'm going to try to be extremely careful here not to use ableist language, just out of respect for the fact that we can do better. If we can do better, we should do better, but it's going to be extra hard dealing with these doctors, America's frontline doctors, and discussing the viral video of Stella Emanuel, who the black woman who was in the group, who basically said that hydroxychloroquine is the cure for COVID-19, not a treatment, which has pretty much been proven it's not an effective treatment. It causes far more damage to your body, specifically permanent damage to your heart, as compared to what it does against COVID-19. They have done trials. They've tested it in emergency cases to see if there was anything that could be done with it. And they have since suspended those trials because it was causing patients more damage than good. The video that she put out said that it's not a treatment. Hydroxychloroquine is a cure and that there's no need to wear masks. The problem with this, I guess this is where I'm starting, right? Then you got Attorney General William Barr and so many other things that happened yesterday and a couple of things that have popped off today. But I just want to dig into the problem of misinformation in this democratized era of truth. If I had to give you like a broad category of how to best understand what the hell is going on, it is the fact that truth itself has been democratized. There is no arbiter of truth. There is no final say-so on what is true in this country. It's not even a final say-so inside of our own small tribes. Every individual is their own arbiter of truth. And the side effect of that, the unexpected outcome of that, or rather, it's not unexpected, it is to be expected, is that when everyone is their own arbiter of truth, that means that everyone can be susceptible to lies. With the, not just, we're susceptible to lies at any time, but in an era of democratized truth, you are particularly susceptible to lies because you have the confidence of your own self and the confidence of your own biases and the confidence of your preconceived notions, so that if you come across anything that confirms what your suspicion, it may not even confirm your suspicion. It just confirms the fact that you had suspicions, right? Nobody was looking for this woman to come out and say that hydroxychloroquine was an actual cure, except for Donald Trump. To be quite frank, I will connect the political connections. I might wait till the second segment to show you that she is, that the entire movement has been funded by the Tea Party Patriots, a dark money organization that has every intention of helping Donald Trump get reelected. I just want to drop that there. We'll dig into the political side of it more. But the problem that's happening in this country, the reason that video was able to get 20 million views on Facebook before they took it down, and tens of millions of views on Twitter, and on YouTube before it was taken down, it's because everyone is their own arbiter of truth. Everyone. Some of us outsource our truths to people we trust. But at the end of the day, we all have the natural inclination to reject something that we don't want to believe or something that we just simply do not believe. And no one is an arbiter to say there's no final word out there. There's no final word. We have gone so far as to remove objective fact from being the final word on what is true and what is not. We've made everything up for debate. Everything is up for debate. Is the sky blue? Well, that's debatable. And that is because that's the era that we're in, with one addendum. It's not only the problem of the democratization of truth, it's also the fact that we have people who have weaponized this situation. They have weaponized misinformation. They have weaponized false knowledge. They have weaponized the sensation that people get. I don't know the psychological or the physiological things that happen to you when you have the sensation of an epiphany. I also don't know the psychological or the physiological thing that happens in the human body when you are skeptical. But I do know that when you get a hold of false information that confirms your skepticism, and when you get a hold of a false epiphany, like you think like, wow, I finally figured this out, it becomes so ingrained in you that it is damn near impossible to separate somebody from the misinformation that made a light bulb go off in their head. I do know that everyone is a skeptic. That's the conclusion that I have had to come to after really thinking about how it is that so many people shared this video, and they shared it with so much energy and so much confidence and so much belligerence. And they shared it with the what we should mock at this point. Anybody who shares a video and says, watch this video before Facebook takes it down, you can pretty much assure yourself that what follows is a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of misinformation, a bunch of conspiracy theories. Yes, there are conspiracy theories and there are conspiracies. They are conspiring against us, but it is not complicated. The ultimate conspiracy against us is the rich trying to get everything and give the people nothing. That is the conspiracy. And you will notice that out of all of the conspiracy theories that people like to engage in, that's not the main one. That's not the preeminent one. All of these other things are distractions from the real conspiracy that's happening. So I'm not trying to tell you that that this system is not conspiring against us. I'm telling you that the stuff that they give you to think is a conspiracy theory is nothing more than entertainment to help them make money. Now, let me come back and pull it back to Dr. Stella Immanuel. The reason that video was spread so far and so fast and so quickly is because I believe that every single person is a skeptic. The only question is, what are you skeptical of, right? We like to think there's a dichotomy between religious people not being skeptical and non-religious people being skeptical. But the truth of the matter is everybody is skeptical, because it's just, who are you skeptical of? They're not skeptical of the Bible. They're skeptical of the government, but they're not skeptical of the government in the context of what we know the government is doing. They're skeptical of the government in some context of some type of mysticism. Like there's a great evil sorcery that's controlling yeah, it is. It's called capitalism. But they don't put their skepticism there. They put their skepticism in this foolishness. In this foolishness, like I just knew something was going on. I knew this government was trying to inject us with the mark of the beast. I knew that there was a cure and they were just trying to make this thing worse than what it really was. And what they've done is they've gotten us, man. Let me tell you, that video was a right-wing conservative hit job. And it struck a blow in our communities, black, white, and other, so much so that it really has divided folks. And you've got now folks who are so committed to the idea that this woman was right, that they have now aligned inadvertently with Donald Trump's agenda. I think I got to take a second to throw the politics in here so that you understand exactly what I'm talking about. This video was funded by the Tea Party Patriots. The entire organization, America's Frontline Doctors, the symbol that was embroidered on their lab coats, funded by Tea Party Patriots of America. Tea Party Patriots of America is the extreme, the fringe of the fringe. The regular Tea Party that you knew circa 2010 that rose up to oppose Barack Obama, they kicked out the Tea Party Patriots because they were so extreme. This is who found, and I'm going to try my best not to use this ableist language, but this is where they found this wildly propagandistic black woman who would get on there and say anything. Now, I'm not going to bring up the fact, I guess I am, that she has been preaching about demon semen, about if you have any type of vaginal issues, if you have any type of like cervical cancer, anything that's going on in your body as a woman, it's because you had sex with demons in your dreams. Literally, I lie not to you. It's all over the internet. You can find it yourself. I'm not going to sully my podcast with that foolishness. I just want to tell you about it. But they found her and they put her in this video, and then the video was shared by Breitbart.com. For people who don't do your basic research, Breitbart.com is a white nationalist organization that was headed up by Steve Bannon, who is the right-hand man to Donald Trump. He is an avowed white supremacist. He is a white nationalist who has an agenda of a white ethno-state at the core. When you break apart everything that he talks about, he uses the promise of a white ethno-state to gather his power. That's who shared the video. Then the video was tweeted and retweeted by Donald Trump Jr. and Donald Trump himself. And I put the politics in there because you got to understand the connection between what they have us arguing about and how it falls precisely in line with what Donald Trump has been trying to do the entire time. He's been promoting hydroxychloroquine as some type of miracle drug when it is not. He has an investment in it, albeit a small investment. He has an investment in the company that creates hydroxychloroquine. His supporters, he has a supporter who has a large investment in the company that creates hydroxychloroquine. And if nothing else, it is an agenda to set the narrative that there was a cure, but we didn't take it. And that's why the economy fell apart. And that's why so many people died, not because of the recklessness of Donald Trump. And here you all, not you, my listener, those who are just now tuning in for the first time, perhaps you shared that video. And you have shared a video that not only is dangerous to the lives of so many people, but it has put you in lockstep with the white supremacist in chief. And the reason that they are doing this is for political purposes, which means Donald Trump is willing to see people die in order to get political advantage. And why does it spread? Well, because people had this natural inclination to be skeptical. It's just a question of what you're skeptical of and what you look for to be the solution. Some people wait and look for some type of mysticism and sorcery and magic and spells and all this foolishness, like they are going to inject you with the mark of the beast in the vaccine, right? Just tomfoolery, utter ridiculousness, right? Some people look for that type of thing, and then when they find someone who says that, well, then wow, that's when they have their suspicions confirmed. And whatever that physiological, psychological event, whatever that does to you, it is potent, and it locks a person into a mentality and a way of thinking that is erroneous. But they believe that they have knowledge that no one else has. They believe they have revelations that no one else has. There's a scripture in the Bible that I have to put here because I had to turn it on its head yesterday to make a finer point. It's been a long time, so I can't even tell you where it's from. I used to quote scripture and verse. That's how deep I was in it, but I just can't remember now. The scripture says, our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. The truth is, or the addendum to that, because that statement in itself is partially true, contextualized for a moment, right? Contextualized for a situation. But our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's a scripture. What's more true for this moment is the fact that our people are destroyed because of an abundance of false knowledge. Our people are destroyed because of an abundance of false knowledge. This desire to have some type of wokeness, some type of epiphany, some type of revelation, some type of deepness that is not rooted in reality, that is not rooted in any scientific basis, right? Something that is, they would rather hear about something that confirms their suspicions versus have actual evidence about something that may confirm that what they believe is a bunch of bullshit. They would rather live their lives based on anecdotes that they heard from somebody who said something about it at the barbershop, who said something about it around the corner. And they would rather live their lives based on the hope of that fantasy being fulfilled versus just getting to some concrete data. Either it works or it doesn't work. And at this time, we know that hydroxychloroquine, at least the tests that have been tested up until this point, the trials that have been tested up to this point, shows that hydroxychloroquine in this case, for the case of COVID-19, has more damaging effects than it has positive effects on COVID-19. So much more about this that we got to discuss, but let's take a quick break. All right. I just kind of have to, it took me the first segment to actually piece this together even more so in my head. And I want to circle back to it because I think this is a problem that we are going to face forevermore, right? This problem is not going to go away. And that's the problem of everyone being their own arbiter of truth. The only reason that's a problem is because it makes a lot of people vulnerable who are not willing to do the research and to engage in a critical analysis and a comparison. And I'm saying, I don't even want to say I don't want to make it sound like it's more difficult than it is. I'm just, Google is research, right? It's an entry level of research, but it's research. Wikipedia is a pretty good starting place for research. These are free tools, my friends. Use them. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't trust Wikipedia. Yeah, you do. You don't want to say that you use Wikipedia, but when you want to actually learn something, where do you go? Wikipedia. But then we have the added problem of the politicization of facts and the politicization of sources. Because now we're at the point where if a source does not say something that confirms what we believe, we reject it as what, ladies and gentlemen, the non-gender conforming individuals? We reject it as fake news. And so we live in a society where we have created the perfect storm, where everyone is their own arbiter of truth. Fine, I believe in that kind of independence and that kind of liberty, but nobody wants to do the research. Everybody wants to respond immediately to the headline, instead of letting that natural skepticism that we all have be activated for just a few moments to verify what you see. This is asking for a lot, and it probably would never happen, which is why I'm setting the stage for the problem that we face as a society. As a society, it is so much easier for us to engage in the ridiculousness, in the false information, in the anecdotes that sound good to us and kind of appeal to us because they confirm what we believe. We would rather take the anecdote from Stella Emanuel that says she's cured over 350 patients when that's easily verifiable. But instead of taking the critical analysis, forget about critical analysis, instead of taking the common damn sense approach of saying, well, sis, if you've cured 350 people, where they at? Because if you show me 350 people who we can verify they had COVID-19 and you gave them hydroxychloroquine and we can verify that they no longer have it, then yeah, let's do this. I think people, this is the ridiculousness of the moment. I'll get back to the societal dilemma in a minute. My dude, we want a cure. Everybody wants a cure. But because people aren't buying into this bullshit that she was selling, you think, or some people think, that we don't want a cure, that we want this virus to get worse so that we can get Donald Trump out of office. Well, if you look at the conclusion of their logic, you have to then conclude that their real motivation in this is political and not purely scientific, not about curing this virus. We're screwed. Everybody, we're screwed. Because we have gotten to a point in politics where we do not have the capacity to take a step back and acknowledge that information that we just heard about is a threat to our political position. That's really what it is. I kind of mentioned this last week, and here we are dealing with like the worst example of this. We do not want to ever admit when a piece of information is a threat to our political ideology. And this is why, so long as politicians can politicize an issue, they never have any significant threats to their power from within their base. If we had a society, which we never will, because Americans are stupid, if we had a society where people could analyze information for themselves, take in that information, and pause and consider and reflect how that information affects their worldview and affects their political positions, and then be willing to say, you know what I believed was wrong based on this new information, the world would be fundamentally different. But we don't have that. What we have is a never-ending race to the bottom to see who can reject as much information as possible to protect what they believe, to protect their biases, to confirm their skepticism. But it's not skepticism in the sense of questioning everything. It's skepticism in the sense of questioning only one particular type of thing. I am particularly aggrieved over the fact that there's so many people in our families and our communities, Black community, white community, all around the world, particularly in America, whose skepticism always leads them to some type of mysticism, some type of non-scientific based analysis. And they research that shit. They will spend hours on YouTube listening to somebody who does not have the cognitive capacity to compute some basic data, right? And Ben, that sounds elitist. Well, shit, if you're going to make life decisions based on something somebody says, you should evaluate them. You should have some standard. You should understand, like, where are they coming? I can't talk about this without talking about the church. I can't talk about this without talking about religion, because of the fact of the matter is so long as somebody could present themselves in a fashion that is convincing, it didn't matter that they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I know it's not just germane to the church, but that's the place I understood that problem. It didn't matter how utterly ridiculous somebody's ability to not only communicate, well, actually, no, they had the communication skills. What they did not have was the analytical skills. And we have rejected intellectualism so much so that we've now rejected common sense. And we've rejected common sense so much so that now we just reject anything that does not confirm our previously held notions. And we will accept everything. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. It doesn't matter if they're broadcasting from their grandmama's basement because, all their endeavors in their life have failed. But now they've got a YouTube channel that gets 100,000 views per video. And that gives them a sense of purpose. And it doesn't matter that what they're saying is nothing but a bunch of ridiculous stupidity. I managed to say that phrase without cussing. Look at God. If you are going to allow someone to have intimate reach into your mind, right? What we do on this show on an everyday basis, you put your headphones on and my voice is going into your mind every single day. If you're going to give me that kind of access to your innermost person, doesn't it make some sense for you to verify whether or not I actually know what the hell I'm talking about? And to, even if I tell you what you want to hear, take into consideration how I could be wrong. The thing is that's not a profitable model to tell you, listen, make up your own mind. Research it for yourself. I could be wrong. No, that's not a profitable model. But the profitable model is to confidently speak, to speak confidently about a subject that people have suspicions about and don't care about what you're right or wrong about. And then condemn those who don't believe you. Condemn those who question you. We've got a major problem in our society, and it is rooted in the fact that there is no arbiter of truth except every individual. But without the willingness to be truthful with yourselves about the information that you find, we end up where we are in America today. Yeah. All right. So the next two segments are going to be about the Democratic Party. Listen, folks, I think it's fair to say, anyone who listens to me on a regular basis, it's fair to say that I've been kind. I've been extremely moderated in my tone towards the Democratic Party because I do understand the unique threat. I know the unique threat that Donald Trump poses to America. I know that it is far more likely right now for me to get snatched up because of the work that I do than it would be for me to get snatched up if Donald Trump wasn't in office. This is not to venerate anyone. It's just to state the fact of Donald Trump's megalomania and his penchant for authoritarianism. That's clear. But I just can't be quiet about this shit no more. What is wrong with your Democratic Party? Yesterday, they rejected language in the party platform for Medicare for All. They rejected language to support the legalization of marijuana, when I believe like 70% of this country supports the legalization of marijuana. And outside of the party function, the party Democratic legislators are proposing legal assistance for people who are facing eviction. I think to the tune of like $12 billion of legal assistance, not stopping evictions, not putting a moratorium on evictions, not even giving the money directly to people so that they could pay their rent. Hell, at this juncture, I'm opposed to it, but considering how ridiculous this offer is from the Democratic Party that they're going to give you legal assistance, I'm actually like, well, then shit, just pay the landlords so people can stay in their homes. My natural inclination is to be repulsed at that idea, but I'm serious. At this point, it would be better than throwing money to lawyers to offer legal assistance with evictions. What are they going to do? Say, well, at least you had an attorney through the process while you became homeless. At least you didn't become homeless on your own. Here's a well-paid attorney who was there to hold you by the hand all the way through when you could have gave that money to the people. I've done my best, folks. I've done my best, and I'm probably going to save most of my rant for the patrons episode because I just, I'm not. You're not going to blame me for Joe Biden losing, but when they are out of sync with what's happening in the world, I understand Donald Trump is a unique threat, but I also understand that if you're not going to do anything to help people, how the hell can you expect them to give you their vote? I just don't. I'm saying that's the most polite way I can say it. And for those of you who would like for me to say it, a little more vociferously, trust me, it's coming. I just like to be patient. I like for a person to show their entire hand. And the Democratic Party still probably has more to show that they are out of lockstep with the common man. I just don't understand the rationale other than the fact that there are some powerful lawyer lobbyists who are there trying to get some money and came up with this idea, and some consultant took it to some aide who took it to some congressperson, some senator, and they say, oh yeah, this is a great way. Let's offer the people legal assistance as they become homeless when we could have put that money in their hands and helped them stay in their homes for at least another month? Do you know what 30 days does for literally, when people have been used to living paycheck to paycheck and they've been living on edge the entire time, a 30-day respite is almost as good as not having a financial dilemma in the first place. I know firsthand from my own life.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
And here we go. At this point in every single episode, I'd like to take a minute to thank the people who make the show possible, our patrons. Very special welcome to Brian June, The Irrational Slam Dog, Erwin Browers, Carmen Michaela, Gregory A., Steven Skirlin, Nick P., Nitwit. Everybody I said it. Very special welcome to Estella Ortega, Fadi Anton, sorry about that. Mark, welcome to the patrons. Cesar Terrence, thank you for becoming a patron. Kithlin, thank you for becoming a patron. Paul Eduardo Perez, thank you for becoming a patron. Adam Risch, thank you for becoming a patron. Darth Raptor 22, thank you for becoming a patron. Grant Ekman, thank you for becoming a patron. Miss Callie, thank you for becoming a patron. Adam Higdon, thank you for becoming a patron. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/The BPD Show, where you get twice the content, uncut, unfiltered, unedited interviews, none of the commercial interruptions, and you give me the ability to speak truth to power, whether the powerful like it or not.
Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Yep. All right, I want to close out the public segment. We're already over the 30-minute mark. I just regularly give you guys a little bit more on the public show because I want to give you my best, no matter if you're a patron or not. But I want to close this out by saying that we are severely outnumbered, outgunned, outstrategized in terms of conservatism. Conservatism has the funding, the strategy, and the Machiavellianism enough to be prepared for funding videos like Stella Emanuel, to funding, news organizations like Prager University or PragerU. It's not a university. OWN Network, The Blaze, all of these media networks that do nothing but spread propaganda, lies, and misinformation. They have enough money to do that, as well as fund nonstop right-wing trolls on social media. They pay attention they focus on everything from the presidential candidate down to my show, down to my Facebook page. If you've been on my Facebook page, you will see I am swarmed every single day by thousands of right-wing zealots. I don't know how many of them are being paid, but I know enough about this game to know some of them are being paid. The rest of them are probably just useful idiots doing it for free. And I want to bring that up because I want you to understand what we're up against. While we that are fighting for liberation are scrambling, trying to get our footing underneath us, they have funding to fight against Joe Biden all the way down to my little podcast. Patrons, stay tuned. We'll talk about that more after this music. Everyone else, see you tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.